So I've also learned that to surrender is actually a continuous process. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
Oh my goodness, yes, it is. Because that higher power becomes your friend and
Mhm.
is your guide, and you just surrender to everything, and it really is you're being led by the spirit and not your ego. It was all
Yes.
about my ego before. I can do this by myself. I got this. I did. No, I don't, obviously, because I was kept on repeating the same cycles over and over and over again. And to this day, I'm just like, okay, I at nighttime especially, I'm like, okay, I know I have this burden on me. I give it to you and I will just rest. The next
Hmm.
morning, like, I don't know, clarity comes to mind. And I'm just like, okay, now I know what I'm supposed to do and take the next steps. It's amazing.
It is amazing. It is.
Yeah. So you've described your journey from feeling unworthy and powerless, just like how I was feeling, to reclaiming your strength. Could you actually talk about the initial steps you took after realizing that the events in your life were happening for you, not to you?
Sure. So, the dyslexic label was imposed on me as a very young child. And that was false. Well, the label, the diagnosis is correct, but the bias and the belief system behind that is false. It is often associated with a intellectual disability. So I believed I was brain damaged. I believed I was broken. And the teachers in the school system believed that too. And that's how they treated me. They treated me like a second class citizen. So that had to be deconstructed. And when I got out and started to, got out of my marriage and started to recover, I actually started working with a life coach. And he was the first person to ever present to me the idea that I was gaslighted. And he said to me, I'll never forget these words. I said, no, 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 you don't understand. I can't do any of those things. I'm dyslexic. And I'm just not capable. And he was like, what? At this point, I had earned both a bachelor's and a master's degree. He was like, Ellen, I'm actually intimidated by coaching you. I'm like, how is that even possible? So he went on to say that, you know, what everything that you have been told around the dyslexic diagnosis is an idea that you have been gaslighted into believing. And again, the whole world changed. And I started working on that idea of just deconstructing that. And that had roots. And I had to go and dig up all those roots. And it was part of my identity. So that sentence began to change my identity. And as I went further down that road and continued to work with him, I worked with him for a year. And we just pulled that apart and pulled it out of my system. I actually went through a grieving process because it changed my identity. I lost part of my, and it didn't take very long. It wasn't very painful. But that's really where I began. And I felt so great after working with him for a year. I was this brand new person. I had a new identity. And then I started to say, okay, what's next? What else can I do? And that's when I stumbled onto, and I mean electronically stumbled, onto retired Commander Mark Devine. And he is a retired Navy SEAL. He's actually at Encinitas, California. And he has a training program and a self-development leadership training program for civilians.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, and you can go, he has in-person events, he has online trainings, he has all different kinds of things. And I have been to 6 of his events. And the first one I went to, I came back a different person. Again, just learning to transform myself by doing these kinds of things and finding the right coaches and the right mentors. And now his training programs, some of them are very physical, they're just what we would call a crucible. But a lot of his work is just breath work, yoga.
Mhm.
learning skills around mental toughness, emotional resiliency. And that's where I started to thrive.
Mhm.
Now, I still had more healing to do, and I'm still healing. I still work with a trauma specialist. EMDR for me has been fantastic. And I've just combined these things together. So I work on all the different parts of myself. So Mark teaches that there are 5 parts of yourself that you're always working on: the physical, the emotional, the mental, the intuitional, and then what he calls kokoro, which is the Japanese word for merging of the heart and the mind. So now I'm on that path, and life just keeps unfolding, and I keep transforming, and there still are challenges, but there's a lot of joy.
That is so exciting. I'm so happy for you. That's amazing. And I have similar experience with this. Although I wasn't a Navy SEAL, it would have been cool if it was, but she might as well have been because she kicked my butt. So in my early years of sobriety, what I have done, and I was exercising a lot. I wanted to, get those natural endorphins going.
Right.
And a friend of mine recommended a lady who was a fitness expert, boxing, martial artist, and she also did yoga. And so I was like, perfect, let me go check her out. So I did. And I was just like, wow, amazed by her energy. I felt her energy right away. And I was like, oh, wow,
Right.
I need to be here. I need to be here.
Yes.
Yeah. And then what was so neat is that not only was she these experts in yoga and fitness, she also just put out a women's mentoring program for the mind. And I'm like,
Yes.
perfect, because I masked all of my emotions and trauma that I've
Mhm.
experienced with alcohol. We all mask it differently in different ways.
Right.
My jam was alcohol. So when I became sober and was working with her, just her skills, a lot of breathing exercises, a lot
Yes.
of pausing, staying still, and just gratitude. And really, although there were some classes that were very physical, there was also some classes that were just focusing on the body and the mind and the heart. And it was just an incredible journey. And I've been with her for a while, but not so much now. I have other mentors and coaches in different areas. I feel like once you get one, you want many more in your
I know. You just want more of it because it feels so good.
Yes, and you do
Yeah.
grow so much. And don't you feel like you're getting out of your comfort zone and starting new things that you thought you would never do? And just like, wow, I can actually do this. What am I doing? This is incredible.
That's the thing, is getting out of the comfort zone. And believe me, training with retired Navy SEALs is outside of the comfort zone.
Yeah, that must be so exhilarating, though. What an experience.